because
Right.
we are co-creating with the universe. We are
Mm.
not just, sometimes people think about manifestation and they think it's just woo woo and it's just visualize and close your eyes or create a vision board and everything is going to fall on your lap.
Impact. And like I just kind of, we'll touch on a couple of different areas, but tell us, like, you didn't start in the Bob Proctor area. You kind of had a story that led into it. So let's hear about your story. How did you even get into the process of helping people with the mindset aspect?
Oh boy, how far should I go?
You lead the way, whatever you feel.
Well, I think I've always kind of been curious. I don't know if you or your audience believe in astrology. I'm a Sagittarius sign, always curious into spirituality, into personal
Mm.
development. And I think my first learnings and, getting in touch with my mind started with Abraham Hicks, actually.
Yep. Okay.
So that was a long time ago. That was, I would say, maybe 20 years ago. I
Wow.
was in a marriage that I was not happy. And I'm originally from Iran and I was living in Portugal at that time, not knowing anyone, not having any family member, not having any friends, not knowing the language. It was really tough not having anything to do, basically, and I was really depressed and I was not happy, and Abraham Hicks teachings literally saved my life. Like
Mm.
every day I was listening to her, every day I was understanding more about vibration, how to tap into that happy feeling and mindset regardless of what is going on in your life. And I really, really got addicted to her teachings for years and years. Life went on and I moved from Portugal to Canada on my own. And I started to build my life slowly. And I was first an employee. That didn't last long, only 3 years. And I realized I'm not a 9 to 5, nothing wrong with that if you're happy with it. But I always wanted to have my own freedom of time and freedom of
Mm.
location. And I thought, I want to make money as much as I want to make, like based on how much effort I put, not only
Mm.
based on the amount of time and how many hours I'm sitting in a cubicle. That was just didn't make sense to me. And I wanted to start a business. And so the whole time I was listening to Abraham Hicks, I was always reading books about the mind. I was always reading books about spirituality. So these two areas, personal development and spirituality, were always, when I say always, like early 20s, were
Mm.
big for me. I think because I had a hard life, kind of because of the personal side of it, my relationship, even my relationship back home with my parents. I would say I was a black sheep of the family. I still am, proudly. But
Right.
that brings with it a lot of difficulty and conflict with your own family. So I needed things outside of my own mind and environment. I remember I used to read Osho books, learning about meditation when I was 18,
Mm.
19. So I was always involved in these kind of things. But then when I was an employee and I wanted to start my own business, I didn't know what to do. I didn't have a business background. I didn't have business education. And the easiest thing I could think of, and I live in Canada, Toronto, Canada, it was to become a real estate agent. It's
Mm.
relatively easy to get a license and become an agent. And then as an agent, as you know, you get paid based on the commission that you make. So it's up to you. The harder, the more you work, the more money you make, more impact you make. Um, and I quit my 9 to 5 job as soon as I get my license,
Mm.
without having my business built yet.
Perfect.
And I don't recommend that to everybody, but I do recommend that to specific kind of personality like myself. Like I need to burn the boats. That's the only
Right.
way I can move forward. And if I didn't do that, I would be still in that cubicle probably. So
Mm.
I burnt the boats, I got my license, and I started doing everything that my brokerage recommended. Like
Mm.
that was how long ago? Was it like 8, 9 years ago?
Mm.
Before COVID, before social media was really big for real estate agents. So it was a lot of hustle and hard work and door knocking and cold calling, like really grinding and hustling, being, as I think about it right now, being in my masculine energy,
Mm.
And I did that for a year, for the whole year. And if you know anything about Toronto, it's winters here are not easy. Like it's very cold. It gets -20, -25 sometimes.
Mm.
And I did a lot of door knocking at that time. That was the only thing I was doing. And I was not getting the result. So
Mm.
that whole year, I used up all my savings and I made maybe $6,000, around
Mm.
$6,000 only. And I was like really, really devastated. And so I was online, I was looking, I was searching. I got a real estate coach. That didn't help that much. It was
Mm.
more like on sales presentations and scripts and what to say, how to handle objections. And then I got into Tony Robbins coaching.
Nice. Mm.
Um, I think it was a program they were offering with Dean Graziosi,
Okay.
and I really, really loved it, and it helped. And I started to picking up momentum, but it was still a lot of grind and hustle. I was still having a hard time. I was still not enjoying what I was doing. So I think year 2 or 3 in my real estate business, I got into Bob Proctor program.
Mm. Okay.
It popped up on my YouTube. They were offering a free week called a live workshop called Paradigm Shift.
Mm.
And I kind of knew Bob from the movie The Secret. Again, I
Yep.
watched that movie like about, I don't know how long ago, 15, 18 years ago. The
Uh,
first thing came out about law of attraction and everybody
right.
loved it. So I kind of knew him, but never took any of his programs. And that's how I long story answering your question, that's how I got to know Bob and I took his program, and it absolutely changed and shifted everything in my life. My
Awesome.
business, my real estate. I became an award-winning agent in my office.
Mm.
Um, and I fell in love so much with his material and his teachings that has become my mission. And that's what I'm doing right now. I quit real estate 3 years
Mm.
ago and I teach Bob Proctor teachings, and that's what I do full time now.
I love that. I love that entire story. And for I want to break it down for people listening right now. From where she started to stepping into, if you think about it, there's underlying factors to your story with the spirituality and the mindset always kind of popping up. It's kind of always in the background. And I always love to see whether it's audiences, clients, whatever it is, friends, family. I always think there's like a golden strand connecting every single moment of our life together, and kind of it's leading you where you're meant to be. And so with your story and going through struggles, like you mentioned, like your past marriage, everything like that, like it didn't sit right with you. So life's trying to give you these nudges. And then for Abraham Hicks to pop up. So for people listening that has never heard of Abraham Hicks, I highly recommend you pick a book up, you listen to something on YouTube, you find some information. Abraham Hicks is a channel consciousness that is much higher level than all of us, that brings us so many answers with so much knowledge. And Asking is Given is a book that opened my eyes to so much. I even teach some of Asking is Given in some of my workshops on the emotional guidance scale. But it's a Jerry and Esther Hicks are what brings Abraham to all of us. So people listening, that's all I'm going to say, but it opens you up to understand how your mind operates, but it also connects you to many aspects of the law of attraction to see how that's a fact of this universe, and allows you truly to use your mind as a tool we always talk about here on Once a Week to help you shift your reality, create the reality, manifest, whatever term you want to put on it. That area is such a resource. So, Halia, for that to be such a pivotal piece for your story, and then the process keeps going. For you, I give you so much credit for taking so many chances on yourself, whether that is stepping out of the desk job and then moving into real estate, and then more so taking a chance on yourself. And the underlying factor to all that is the amount of effort and action you took into work and took into wanting to create the life you want. It's kind of become a new topic the last few weeks, but physical action is the language of this universe. Our thoughts play a pivotal role. The frequency, the energy we operate play a pivotal role in where our life goes. But at the end of the day, the action steps you take, no matter how small, create the ripple effects. And so for you to have that part of you, your soul, to really move forward and take action and put the effort on yourself, and then that to lead you to Tony Robbins, which we know here just from my background, but Bob Proctor as much. Oh my goodness, you were meant to be doing the work you're doing right now. That's so awesome.
I
That's incredible.
totally feel that. Yeah, I totally feel that. And it's like, it's I'm growing and expanding, and I'm not limiting myself to Bob Proctor's teachings. I'm
Mm,
going deeper and deeper into spirituality these days. Like you mentioned about Abraham Hicks and channeling,
right.
that's something we all can do.
Yeah, it's
We
true.
all
It's very
have
true.
that available to us,
Yeah.
and it's just unfolding the journey for all of us.
Mm,
But as you mentioned so perfectly, we need to take action because
right.
we are co-creating with the universe. We are
Mm,
not just, sometimes people think about manifestation and they think it's just woo woo, and it's just visualize and close your eyes or create a vision board and everything is going to fall on your lap. We are co-creators. We are co-creating with God, universe, higher intelligence, whatever you want to call it. So we have to take action. That's what we do in this 3D world. Otherwise
right.
we would be just spirit floating around.
Right, exactly, and for you to say, which I echo, for you to say that we all have that ability to channel. There are people that in this, for people listening, there are people in our world, our universe, whatever term you want to put on it, that are at a much higher energetic, spiritual level, frequency, vibration, whatever term you want to use, that allow them to channel and receive knowledge and help that helps them. But then also, like Abraham Hicks' example, is allowing them to help the masses. So
Mm-hmm.
for all of us to still be the same spiritual being as everyone else, different destiny, different traits, different personality, different everything, you still are a spirit. And as I like to say, created in the image of a creator, much as Leah just touched on, we are part of the universe. We aren't the whole, but we co-create with the whole to create the reality that we wish to live, to manifest the dreams that we want to bring to reality. And those dreams, I believe, were put on our hearts individually
Mm-hmm.
for us to bring them alive. In that idea, Leah, do you believe, in all looking back at your life, kind of in hindsight, do you look back and realize everything kind of had to happen the way it was meant to, for you to have that fire in you to take the action, for you to come to this area where, you went through the Tony Robbins stuff, you went to the Bob Proctor stuff? Because I find it myself, when I was trained by Tony Robbins years ago, I kind of completed it, and I took action from there and it felt great. But then there was a breaking point where it was like I was trying to be just like Tony. I wasn't trying to be me, Billy. So I had to shift away, much like you say you're doing now. You're stepping further into the spirituality aspect. Yes, with the Bob Proctor stuff being a foundational point, but you're now finding yourself even deeper past that. Do you see moments that kind of led you to exactly where you're meant to be?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's a quote from Steve Jobs that I love. He says, "We cannot connect the dots looking forward. We can
Mm,
only connect the dots looking backward." And
right.
that applies for to each and every one of us. Like if you look back, sometimes things might have been really, really hard and you didn't realize, why is this happening to me?
Mm,
But that thing happened to you. Things don't happen to us, it happens for us, by the way.
right.
It happened so that you take a different approach, you take a different action,
Mhm,
so that you step into the higher version of yourself,
mhm,
and you take your life to the better direction and become a better version of yourself, do better with your life, do more in your life. Everything happens for a reason.
right.
And I just shared a little bit about how life was difficult when I was living in Portugal. I've been through a
Mm,
lot, like recently. And but I don't regret any of that because I see how much I have changed, like day and night. I
right.
am not the same person as I was. I'm like day and night different from 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I am so different from even 2 years ago. And
Awesome.
that's because of all the challenges I went through.
Mm,
And I just want for your audience to know, because I know there are a lot of people are going through a really, really hard time.
right.
Um, Astrologically, things are happening. People say we're moving from 3D to 5D. I don't want to get too woo woo, but
Yeah.
there is a lot happening collectively, and
Right.
there is a lot of pain. If you look at it, even I don't watch news, but even if you don't watch news, you know what is happening. Like in Middle East, things are happening, people are dying,
Right.
um, even natural disasters, and there is a lot of negativity and a lot of pain, and
Mm,
everybody's going through something and everybody is suffering. But this is actually good.
right.
It doesn't look good, but it
Mm,
is good. And the way I explain it always to my clients is that If you sit on your couch, if you sit comfortably in front of TV on your couch,
Mhm.
and you don't go to the gym, you don't put your body and your muscles through pain,
Right.
if you don't feel the pain in your body, you're not going to get fit. Your muscles are not going to get strong. You're not going to get into good shape. You need pain in order
Right.
to become the better version of yourself. The same thing that applies physically in your physical body when you go to the gym and you work out, you lift the heavy weights and you feel
Mhm.
it in your body, you sweat, it's painful, it's not easy, but then you see the result. That's exactly the same for our spirit, for our soul, for our personal development, for our relationships, for our business. The pain is good. Embrace the pain. Embrace the
Mhm.
pain, because it's only through the pain that we can expand and grow. If we
Right.
do not expand, I was talking to someone today. He called me 2 years ago. He wanted to join my coaching. He did
Mhm.
not. 2 years after, exactly 2 years after, he called and things are not going well for him. And
Mhm.
it's really painful right now. He's going through some issues personally, and that is affecting his business as well. And I said, well, it's time. I think it's time you join. And I told him the same thing. I said, embrace the pain. If you didn't have this pain, you would not contact me,
Right.
because now through coaching, not only you're going to get to the level that you were, it was okay, kind of good, you're going to quantum leap, you're going to go further.
Right.
Every successful person in the history, if you look at it, they've had a coach, they've had a mentor. So the fact that you're calling me right now out of pain,
Right.
seeking growth and coaching, that's going to
Mhm.
just take you to the next level. So be grateful for anyone who's watching. I know as hard as it is, as painful as it is, it's your relationship, your finances, your business, a lot of things happening financially. Embrace the pain and know that everything changes. Change, Bob Proctor said, change is the only constant. There is no
Yeah.
way you stay in that pain for the rest of your life. Sometimes it
Mm.
feels like it's been too long and it feels like I'm never going to get out of it, and it's
Mm.
so dark, but nothing lasts forever. Seasons
Right.
change, our life change, everything change. So yeah, I really really appreciate everything that I've experienced in my life, all my failed relationships, all my hardship that I had in my real estate business in terms of my finances, um even the coaching that I'm doing right now. It was not always easy, but everything that happens for us, and it
Mm.
makes us, if we embrace it, there's an if
Right.
we don't come from the energy of being a victim, then we
Mhm.
can move to the next level. But if we get stuck in the energy of why is this happening to me? Why me? Poor me. You're going to wake up 10 years, 20 years, sometimes some people for the rest of their life. They are stuck in that low level energy.
Mm. Right. No, I love that. And that's so true on every account. For people listening right now, with the aspect of pain, if I've given this example years ago on this channel with my own story, where before I even was trained by Tony, before I even started any of this, anything that I do now, I was going through such a terrible time. Every area of my life was falling apart: family, relationship, friends, work. All the stressors of life, all the pillars that we try and build our life on were crumbling down. And it was tension everywhere. So I felt like I was constantly in pain. And then I heard a message, I believe it was TD Jake's message, just on a random YouTube video in the gym one day. And it was going over how when you're going through pain, you have to, in a sense, anticipate the like a birthing aspect, where you think of a woman for 9 months, she's like, obviously growing a kid and everything like that, but she's going through all this pain to get to something absolutely incredible that she can hold, that she can, it's a major blessing. So if we look at the pain we're going through as something new is being birthed in us, whether that is a new perspective, whether it is the blessing that someone's been praying on or asking for or trying to manifest, whatever it is, you have to look at the pain you're going through from new eyes, from a new perspective, from a new frequency, whatever term you want to use, and realize that it's happening for you, not to you, just as much as Halia just touched on. So if anyone is going through pain, I echo those words Halia just said. At the same time, the coaching aspect allows someone, a client, to then raise their perspective and essentially get into the energy of the coach. to then in like a jet stream, you kind of step up and you elevate yourself to a higher mindset to then be able to look at your situation. Oh, I never thought of it that way. So this guy that reached out to you, Aaliyah, who's seeing everything from one perspective, comes to you, and then it might be the door he was supposed to knock on 2 years ago. It wasn't the right time though. So a year goes by, it's still not the right time. Another year goes by, you've elevated to a much higher place to maybe now being able to become the person that can help him. So I say that because everyone listening, trust that everything is happening for a reason, much as she just touched on, but all things work together. So as much as you're trying to grow, I'm trying to go, the client's trying to grow. If you're supposed to work with this person or be with this person or whatever the example could be for someone listening right now, if it's supposed to happen, it's going to find its way back together, but you have to focus on yourself and grow yourself so you can become the person that could allow that into your life and
Mm.
walk through that new door. So Halia, I give you so much credit for that because that is such a concept that I think a lot of people are coming to now. A lot of people have come across in the understanding of how our mind works, the spirituality concept. Like, if you want to get woo woo with things, you go as far deep as you want to go on this interview. But for
Yeah.
people listening, we're in a time, I believe, why there's so much pain happening in the world in so many ways because we're meant to elevate. And for those of us,
Absolutely.
this is the example I love using where I saw this in my own life, where if you have a goal, a dream, or the world has a goal or a dream, it's meant to achieve something, or you're meant to achieve something, and you're walking to it, you're moving with momentum, life is going to pull you. The universe, God, creator, is going to pull you to that dream. If you stop moving and you kind of stand still, life has to push you there. And when we get pushed is when pain is used as the pusher to get us to where we're meant to be until you start to pick your feet up again. So people listening, take that example for yourself and get moving, for whatever. And whatever's, I'm not saying go, you have to take a ton of action. The smallest action could open the greatest door. So move forward in that. But Halia, with that aspect, diving deeper into it with the subconscious and conscious mind, how do you help people in that area? You just mentioned that it became a time to help this guy that came in. We're touching on these bigger topics. How does that play a role in your coaching?
Yeah, I love that question. Before answering your question, Billy, I want to touch on something that you mentioned. You said
Mhm.
something that is so beautiful. You said, whatever happens to you, or you said something along the lines that whatever happens is supposed to happen. So you were supposed, so that client where I was not supposed to coach him 2 years ago, I was supposed to coach him now, or everything that happens for us is for a reason. And I want us to all understand that our mind, as much as it's so powerful and it's like a supercomputer, is
Mhm.
nothing compared to understanding what is happening in this whole universe.
Right. Mm.
How is this globe that we call it Mother Earth is spinning around in the middle of nowhere in perfect proximity to the sun and to the moon,
Mm.
and we have gravity so we don't fall off this globe, we have water, we have air, we have beauty, we have season, and now we have technology, and our mind is nothing compared to understand when it comes to understanding this whole universe
Mm.
from a bigger perspective. Why are we here? What is the meaning of life? What is God really? What is happening in the whole universe and other galaxies? And what is infinity? Like, it's mind blowing, these subjects, right?
Mm.
So the point is, we don't always understand why things are happening to us because our mind is limited,
Mm.
and our mind is like a filing cabinet of the past. What is the mind? It only has the information from our past, right? From
Right.
our memories, our experiences, or genetically programming. So it's very limited. So
Right.
even though, when, because we were talking about pain, even though if you're going through something and you do not understand the reason, know that it is for you. It is for you. Absolutely. It's not happening to you, it is for you. And as you said, God is pushing you and all of us and collectively to step into a higher version of ourselves,
Mm.
because we are infinite, we are unlimited, our soul is unlimited, and it's we have so much potential within ourselves because our essence is
Mm.
soul, and our soul is part of God. It's an essence of God. So there's absolutely unbelievable power that we have, that even if we tap into our Every talent and ability that we have, there is no way we can use all our talent and ability in even 20 lifetimes.
Right.
No way. So that's how powerful we are. Um, so when you talk about the conscious subconscious, that's actually one of the things that I just shared, that we are
Mm.
powerful and we are soul. Our essence is soul, and our essence is perfect. It's perfection because it comes from God. These are all teachings of Bob. These
Yeah.
are all Bob's words. And what I teach Bob Proctor teachings on conscious mind and subconscious mind.
Mm.
Our brain, so he actually really simplified the mind. The mind is very powerful in terms of creating what we want, right? And it's not just about positive thinking or negative thinking. It's much more deeper and more complex than that. But Bob Proctor really simplified that. And he actually, this is the thing that I teach my clients, and this comes from the teachings of Bob Proctor. So he said, this is your mind. And this model comes from Dr. Terman Fleet
Okay.
in 1930. He created this because he said, let's do an experiment. Like, I'm going to ask you, Billy,
Okay.
think about, if you have a car, think about your car.
Hmm.
Think about your front door. Think about your fridge. Think about your bed. As soon as, in a second, as soon as I mention these words, what happens? A picture comes to your mind,
Right.
right? Because we think in pictures.
Right.
That's how the mind works. So Dr. Terman Fleet was holistically helping people and his patients, because he realized that they were healing. They were not healing the source of the issue, and the source of every disease is the mind. And he
Mm.
said, because we think in picture, and if we want to address the mind and heal the mind, we need a picture of the mind, but we don't have a
Right.
picture of the mind. When you talk
Mm.
about what does the mind look like to people, most of the time people think about the brain, but the
Mm.
brain is not the mind. So Bob, this doctor came with this idea, and this is what Bob teaches, and this is what I teach. So what I teach is all Bob Proctor's program that has been around for decades, and he has spent his whole life, 60 something years, studying and teaching the mind and how the mind works and how we manifest using the power of our mind. And he
Mm.
said the mind is, let's simplify it, it's a top part conscious mind, and the bottom part subconscious mind.
Right.
So, what is a conscious mind and what is a subconscious mind? The conscious mind is where we think and where we gather knowledge. So,
Mm.
a lot of time we go to university, we get a degree, um, we gather those information in our conscious mind.
Mm.
Subconscious is different. Subconscious is all the programming that's been done and programmed in our subconscious since we were born till the age of 7 and 8.
Right. Exactly.
And it comes in two ways: one, genetically; the second way, environmentally.
Hmm.
So, a lot of our programming, our subconscious pattern, our limiting beliefs
Exactly.
come from our genetics, our parents, our ancestors. And then, in a second way, on top of that, in our upbringing, when we were born till the age of 7 and 8. And
Mm.
because we didn't have the conscious mind developed at that age, everything that happened around us, all the conversations between our parents, our in our upbringing, in our environment, our caregivers, everything went deep into our subconscious, and
Hmm.
it's there. It's still
Right.
there. And
Mm.
if we don't change that, that is what running the show. And 97%, that's a huge percentage. 97% of what we do every day is based on our subconscious mind.
Exactly.
Only
Yeah.
3 or 4% is conscious. So we are like walking around on this subconscious program that is running in the background, that we got it from our parents genetically and since we were a kid. So that
Hmm.
program is there, and if we don't do anything about it, nothing's going to change. That's why people go to university, people change jobs, people apply for a different, better position, people change industries, they get a different credential, and really nothing changes much in their life in terms of success, in terms of finances, the relationship, because it's not about conscious, it's not about what you are gathering, it's not about what you are learning. So
Mm,
many people know a lot, but the result is not a reflection of what they know. There are so many frustrated people with degrees,
yeah.
lawyers. I know lawyers who are suffering financially. So
Mm,
it's not, so that's the difference between conscious and subconscious. And most of the time we don't even know what is in our subconscious
right.
because we've been living with it.
Right.
It's our blind spot. That's
Mm,
why we need a coach. We need someone who look at us from outside, from third perspective, and see what are those limiting beliefs.
right.
And unless we change those limiting beliefs, no matter what we do, no matter how much we work, nothing is going to really change. And to answer your question, the way I help clients is by Bob Proctor program and teachings, mostly the main program that is designed to change the subconscious programming, and what Bob Proctor calls paradigm. To change the
Hmm.
paradigm is a 6 months program. They're different programs, but the 6 months program is the most comprehensive that I honestly have never seen anything like that. As I mentioned, I love like self-help books and studying and learning, personal development, spirituality. Bob's teachings is very comprehensive because it's not only about the practical things,
Hmm.
it is also about spiritual. So it's physical and spiritual, and that's why
Awesome.
I love it.
Yeah. Oh no, I love that. I love that
Yeah.
combination because everything, people listening, everything that she just touched on is your life makeup. It's why you are where you are. It's why you're going where you're going, and you have the ability to change all that by stepping into the process. And much like you, Halia, I love that connection. The Where the physical becomes the spiritual, or where the spiritual helps the physical in that sense, and how we play a significant role in both sides of it. You know, if we think of ourselves in the middle of it, yes, we're physical now, but we are a spiritual being that is walking this earth, walking this universe, whatever it is. When we understand these greater concepts, much like you said, paradigm, much like you touched on limiting beliefs, the subconscious, the conscious, but also understanding how to shift those areas thanks to the laws of the universe, and then combining all of the areas, we then become the driver, or the driver's seat of this car, this physical reality, to direct it where we want to go. That's using all the spiritual tools we have at our disposal. And I wish I've spoken to different high schools and colleges and got to touch on these areas, and the kids are fascinated by it because they've never been taught this. And then they're like, oh my goodness, like some kids run up to me after, I've been reading this is incredible, like I thought I was crazy for looking into this. I'm like, no, you're ahead of the game. But
Mm-hmm.
I wish we taught kids at a younger age how powerful they are to use this in these areas that are limiting those kids because of, reasons of the world. But at the same time, for them to step out of the box that we're told to live in and realize you can make your decisions, you can choose how you want to live this life. But that is doing the deep work that you just touched on by stepping into the subconscious areas. Because we've touched on it many times here on Once a Week, whether it's interviews or solo messages, how to shift your unconscious beliefs and to really step into those areas. Even last week, we touched on a client of mine that was reliving unconscious patterns that at one time he had overcome, but kind of reverted back because he was in a lower state. And then we identified it. So it gives him an opportunity to then shift it and move forward in that moment to cement it. Because I think life is going to send you lessons to see, did you actually understand this? Did you actually change this? And when you do respond the way you are now choosing to respond, life's like, okay, you passed the test. Let's move forward. Let's
Yeah,
move
and
into the next lesson. Yep.
that's a great point, Billy, because yeah, people might watch this interview right now and they think, well, but how do I do that?
Mm-hmm.
It's through repetition because the mind is very strong, and what you're living with, your subconscious programming, you've been living with it for many, many years and decades.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's a constant spaced repetition, as Bob Proctor says, and studying and being in this environment. Because if you think about it, only 3% of people, society is super, super successful, high vibration, like Tony Robbins and Bob
Right.
Proctor's.
Mm-hmm.
97% are not. And we are in our day to day life, in a normal life, in an average day to day life, we are within proximity of that 97%.
Mm-hmm.
So, in order to get out of that, we have to be constantly studying. That's the
Right.
only way.
Yeah. That's why I always tell everyone, people listening right now, you might have an urge to step into the spirituality areas or to just see where that might lead for you. Follow that. Some people listening right now might have an urge to study cars. I say step into that. That's your
Yes.
heart, that's your desire. That's an area that you're meant to walk into that could give you a deeper understanding of yourself, a deeper understanding of how you can operate in this world, this universe, but it elevates you to a higher level to then start to understand this in that specific example. Much like Halia, much like myself, we're called to step into this spirituality area to teach others, to grow in it ourselves above all else. Because as we elevate, we then can elevate others up to that higher level. But that's an area that we chose to follow that was on our hearts. We could have said no. I've come across many people that said, oh, at one time that would have been great. And then they turn away from it. I always think that's always in the background of their mind, that where
Hmm.
they could move forward. So people listening right now, follow that heart urge that you have, follow that heart's desire that you have. And if it looks weird to some people, they're not you. Follow it. You're meant to follow it. Don't let the judgments of others, that's a lower level frequency, but that's an environmental aspect from back in the day. That's a limiting belief that your life is supposed to be dictated by what everyone tells you it's supposed to be rather than what you choose it to be. So for people listening, follow that heart, follow the desire that's on you, because that's trying to elevate you and guide you to where you're meant to be. But that's the spiritual areas on whatever level you want to call it, lower, higher, whatever. But when you start to walk up that staircase, you will elevate. And when you elevate, believe me, life will change for you. You might go through some hurdles, but those hurdles, as much as Halia touched on, those hurdles are always guiding you up the ladder even further. Life wants to elevate you, but you have to want to elevate yourself by looking in the past and realizing, like when I was 4, that happened to me, and I'm 35 right now, and it doesn't serve me anymore. And if it doesn't serve you anymore, you can then let go of it and say, and that takes work for sure, but when you can let go of it as repetition happens, as Leah just touched on, you then look forward in your life and say, how do I want to move forward? By the beliefs of a 4-year-old, by the beliefs of who I am now, knowing what I know now, moving forward in the power that I am now. And you always have been.
I
And that's the
love
beauty.
that. I
Mm,
love everything you said. I want to touch on something, Billy.
yep.
It's I love everything you said. Absolutely love it. You mentioned something about desire that I learned recently.
Mhm.
Why do we have a desire? Where does the desire come from? And people don't necessarily have the same desire. Sure, everybody wants more money. That I think is a
Yep.
common desire. But people have different dreams and
Mhm.
desires. And why
For
is
sure.
that? Where does that desire come from? I learned that recently. It's just such a beautiful concept. You have a desire because the fulfillment of that desire is calling you,
That's awesome. Yeah.
right? The fulfillment of that desire is calling you, is calling your soul because it's already there and it's
Right.
yours. It just
Mm,
takes you to take the action, become brave, go for what you love, no matter, as you said, what other people think, and if it looks weird to others. Your desire is already yours. It's
right.
already yours, and it's already fulfilled, and the creation is already done. The creation is already done. God is not sitting there creating new things. It's already done. It's just us tapping into the vibration of the things that we want and
Mm,
bringing it from the spirit world to the physical world,
right.
because we are both. We are actually, we live actually on a three plane. We are spirit, we have an intellect, and we live in a body, in a physical body. So your
Mm,
desire is calling you. That's why you want something, because it's calling you.
right.
So go
Mm,
for it.
yeah. I love that. I feel like I could talk to you for hours and just try and create some massive video for people. But I want to keep diving into areas that you help people with, because you've got a workshop coming up. And I want to make
Yes.
sure everyone listening right now and watching right now knows about that workshop, because if there's anything that we've said in this video so far that intrigues you, I can guarantee the workshop's going to bring even further. So, Halia, touch on that. What's this new workshop you got coming in a couple weeks?
Yes, I'm super excited for this workshop. It's going to be awesome. This is my last free workshop of 2024. I do
Mm,
offer these workshops once in a while, once every few months. This one is called Wealth Manifesting Workshop, and it's for anyone who wants more out of life. It's for
mm,
anyone who wants to improve their life, improve their is specifically a little bit more towards people who want to start their own thing, their own business, their own side hustle, whatever it is that they've been dreaming about and they want to start. Those kind of people, and also people who already have their own business, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, freelancers, people who are already doing their own thing, but maybe they have plateaued. Maybe they want
Mm,
to go to the next level. Maybe they want to expand their business. So anyone who wants to learn how to manifest more wealth in terms of business, money, fulfillment, and going after their dreams, I'm
mm,
offering this free workshop. It's 5 days event and it's only 1 hour a day. It's not a full day. Some people think it's full day, 5 days. 1 hour a day, October 28th to November 1st. So that's the last week of October. And
mm,
because I learned from Bob Proctor, I work with the laws. One of the laws of the universe is the law of cause and effect.
mm,
So I believe in giving and serving, and that's what I do in my events. I don't hold back. So many times people come to these free events and they say they've learned much more than the last few paid courses
mm.
that they have taken. So I don't hold back. I deliver a lot of value and I teach Bob Proctor's teachings for anyone who likes to learn more about the paradigm and how to shift the paradigm, how to reprogram the subconscious mind. Absolutely join. It's free. It's on Zoom and it's at 12 p.m. Eastern time every day. There are going to be bonuses for people who join live, but if
Mm.
you can't join live, there are going to be replays as well.
Nice. Oh, that's awesome. I love what you said where you're giving. This is for the people. This is to help people elevate themselves. For people listening and watching right now, that's you in whatever capacity. Whether that's you who you might have that dream and you're like, maybe like I kind of I'm called to some of the things Billy and Hilly have touched on so far. This is your opportunity to just knock on the door. Step into this event that she's offering and just see if it calls you and see if you'll learn something new. That's the beauty of a free resource where you can step into it as much as she's giving her knowledge to you guys so you can learn and grow. All you have to do is give your time, not even to Halia, give your time to yourself. Invest in yourself right now and watch what the universe does. That's a whole nother law of the universe in itself. But that's something you guys have to step into by talking to Halia about it at her event. But Halia, I give you so much credit for bringing this to people because, like you said, you've done it before, but this is the first time I've obviously connected with you on a deeper area. I know people are getting, as much as it's Bob Proctor's concepts and teachings, it's you in the stage of this event right now. And for people to hear your voice now and to see you right now, they can resonate with your energy. So for you to be on the stage of this event, as much as Bob Proctor's teachings, it's through you. You're the vessel. So for you being the vessel, people get a taste further of who you are and what you bring. And that's something only you can do. That's a sprinkle that only Halia can bring. So people listening, step into that. We're going to put all that information at the end of this video, and the credits are going to be in the YouTube description. The link for that's going to be right there. Step into it, guys, because I'm telling you, if anything we talked on so far knocked on the door for you, see what's behind that door. But Halia, I can't wait to see what that's all about because I'm telling you, you bring so much to the table just in this conversation. But I want to start to close this out. I want to be respectful of your time. I know you got a meeting coming up, but I want to ask a couple more questions with you because we could go so much deeper into the conscious and subconscious mind. I got a couple more questions. One being, in everything that you've gone through, and everything that you've learned, and everything you stepped into with Bob Proctor, and all the new spiritual areas you're stepping into, out of all of that, this is gonna be a tough question. What is the one lesson you got of all that you needed the most? That helped
Hmm.
you the most, whether it's a law of the universe, whether it's understanding limiting beliefs in the subconscious mind, what's something that you needed above all else that stuck with you? Like, oh my goodness, that was the Satori moment, the aha moment where it's like, yep, I'm on the right path.
I'm going to share something that I learned and I'm still learning. And this is
Mm,
the most valuable lesson that I've learned and the hardest to
okay.
master.
Mm,
But if we master this, we're going to be great for the rest of our life.
mm,
And this is to learn how to ignore our reality,
okay.
to
Mm,
learn how to ignore our five senses.
mm,
What we hear, see, smell, taste, touch, these five things you see here, these antennas, Bob Proctor said these are the antennas that connect us to the outside world. We
mm,
see, hear, smell, taste, touch. And Everybody, almost everybody, lives through these five senses.
Right.
So we look at our bank account, we look at our results, we look at our relationship, we hear something, and we get affected by these things, emotionally affected. So that's where our vibration going to go. If
Right.
you want to change anything in your life, absolutely anything in your life, including your health, wealth, happiness, relationships, we need to learn how to ignore the reality and understand the reality that we are experiencing right now is a manifestation of our previous vibration and thoughts and feelings. It's
Mm,
not what is happening right now, it is what has happened in the past.
right. Mm-hmm.
Don't let the reality and what is happening right now that you don't like, don't let that affect your feelings and emotions and your vibration. If we can learn this, to
Mm,
ignore what is happening that we don't like and to focus more and more on what we do want. What is it that
right.
I want? What is it that I'm creating? What is my goal? What is my desire? What do I want? What do I love? What do I want to do? If we shift our focus more of the time from what we don't like, which is
Mm-hmm.
happening in a 3D world, to what we do want and we do like, that's such a big game changer. And again, I would say it's the hardest thing to do. Because
Mm,
why? Because we've never learned that. That's the only
right.
reason.
Exactly.
But when we
Mm.
learn that and we practice that day after day and month after month, it becomes easier and easier. And that's how we become deliberate creators of our own
Mm.
life.
That's awesome. Oh, I love that. I wanna add a little piece to it too because I've learned a similar concept recently and even years ago when I stepped further into the spiritual areas and understood attachments, detachments, and non-attachments. And to build on everything you just touched on for people listening right now, when we look at what we don't want in life, or if we look at what we do want in life, we're forming an attachment to that area. And when we are attached to something, this is the only route that it can be. And if it's anything other than that, I'm going to be unhappy. When the universe, when God is like, no, I want to give you even more than that. So we have to look at it through a not detached, where if I don't want this at all, we have to look at it through a non-attached view, where if it comes, I let it, and if it goes, I let it. But when we're non-attached to something, it can flow into our life in such an incredible way and add so much further to it in such an incredible way. And that's why I completely echo everything Halia just said, where if we know much of what we touched on looking in hindsight, if we might look at our past and we realize what's creating our future because we have never looked towards the future to what we want to manifest and what we bring into our life, then we're going to repeat the cycles of our past. But if we look to the future and realize, like, oh my goodness, it can be anything that I want it to be, I can paint whatever picture I want. I can literally envision the painting I want my life to be, and then we allow it to form the way it's meant to. That's working with the universe to build on it. And that's everything Ali is touching on, where we have that. But again, that's why I love this work so much. You, yes, need a paper and pencil. That's usually all the materials you need because it's all in here. It's all being able to understand how powerful you are, and you don't have to go out and physically have something that does this for you. This is no longer a one pill generation. You do the work in this process, in this process, in this process, in this process, whatever people want their background to be and what they want their tool to use, whether it's prayer, meditation, a pencil and pen. But to do the self work, to do the personal development, the self improvement work, the spiritual development work elevates you to such a higher level so you can have, so you can manifest, so you can create that dream, that reality, that universe that you want to live in. So, Halia, I echo everything you just said. Now, I, I feel like I just put a period on it, but I'm going to make sure you put a period on this entire podcast that we're doing right now. I have two questions left. What is a lasting message that you want to leave with everyone before we close this whole thing out?
Hmm. Just work on your trust and certainty in a higher
Mm,
power.
mm,
Just work on that every day. Every day, a little bit more. Trust that you're not alone. Trust that you're protected. Trust that everything is going to work out for you. Everything always works out for everyone. Look at your life, look at your past. There's been hard moments, you've gone through them, and you're here. Just work on your trust and faith and certainty, in the
Mm,
higher power, whatever you call it, that has created this whole amazing universe a little bit more every day.
mm, perfect. Perfect. Perfect period to end this whole thing. Where can people find you and where can they find your workshop?
So my workshop, I'm gonna probably have to send you the link
Yep.
for people to join. I can send you the link. But I have also a YouTube channel that I'm not as active as you. It's
Mhm.
called Helia Ogani, my first name and last name. I'm on
Okay.
Facebook. I'm very active on LinkedIn, and Facebook and LinkedIn, both Helia Ogani.
Okay, perfect. Everyone, all of those are going to be in the credits of the video. They're going to be in the YouTube description. They're going to be on every post that we do. So you can go find Halia, follow her. I came across all of her information on LinkedIn and on Instagram and a YouTube channel. I'm telling you, as much as she says she's not active, there's already so much information on there to help you. And I can guarantee more is on the way. So go check her out. Halia, it's been a blast having you on, and I feel that you and I can go even deeper into these conversations and teach even more concepts. So I want to do that down the line and have you back on. But it's been a
Definitely.
blast, and I just appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Billy. I love what you do. I love your energy. You're amazing. I really enjoyed the conversation. Thanks for doing this.
Perfect. No, it's been a blast. I appreciate your time and being a guest on the show. Everyone, go check out all of her links. If you're in need of a coach, that Halia and everything she brings to the table, go check her information. Set up a call with her, set up a 30-minute call, and just talk to her. See if what she brings to the table is everything that you need. If anything that she said in this video sparked you in some way, that heart's desires we touched on, follow it. You don't have to walk through the door and it's something you have to do, but at least open the door, knock on the door that she's have right here and see if she is the coach for you. Guys, please like this message on YouTube, hit that thumbs up on below, share this message to someone who you feel needs to hear it. If at any time during this video someone popped in your mind and you feel they could use this message, share it to them. Not to share Halia's coaching, not to share Billy, not to share any of this, but to help someone else out. Reach out a hand, share it to them. And please subscribe to Once a Week if you have not already. Become a part of our channel. Our entire goal is to help people, which we hope we did with this video for you today. Please subscribe and become a part of this. And if you're in need of a coach, you got Halia's links at the end of this video in the YouTube description. If you need a coach that I bring to the table, head to BillyGLifeCoaching.com and set up a free call with me. I'm right there for you because I want to be right there for you. But I thank you for being here, guys. And Halia, once again, it's been a blast. I appreciate you
Thank
being a
you.
guest on the show.
Thanks so much.
Awesome. Have a good one, guys.